It's an honor to gather with such an extraordinary group of leaders for this next panel, Women for Forest, Protection, and Reforestation. And we're calling this part 2 because those of you who've been with us know that we did a forest panel a few days ago, and it's such an important topic that we are dedicating 2 sessions to this. Around the world, our forests are sounding the alarm on the edge of ecological collapse in many regions. And let's make no mistake, there's no pathway to climate solutions and climate justice without forest protection and the communities who are caring for those forests. Forests are not just carbon sinks, they are sacred ecosystems, homes to countless species, central to local and regional climates affecting rainfall patterns and temperature, and the lifeblood of Indigenous communities who have been their stewards for generations. And at WECAN, through our Women for Forest program, we are deeply engaged in frontline forest defense and reforestation efforts across 3 regions: the Amazon rainforest in Ecuador and Brazil, the Congo Basin in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Tongass rainforest in Alaska. And for those of you in the United States, you probably have seen that the Tongass rainforest, which WECAN and many other groups fought to protect by maintaining the roadless rule, has just in the last few days, with this administration, learned that there is an effort to once again roll back the forest protections called the roadless rule. So another big struggle to protect those forests. What we see time and time again is this, that women have always stood at the front lines of forest protection. Their stories, their resistance, and their visionary leadership span continents and generations. And today, you'll be hearing some of the most powerful voices from that global movement. And with COP30 on the horizon, set to take place in Belém, Brazil, in the heart of the Amazon basin, forest protection is rising to the top of international climate agenda. And at WECAN, alongside many of our partners, we are in deep strategy conversations preparing for this critical moment. So let's get grounded, inspired, and mobilized by this panel. And it's my pleasure to introduce our speakers. First, we're going to be hearing from Louise Malig, who is a dear friend and colleague over many, many years. She's the policy director at Global Forest Coalition from Bolivia. Then we'll be hearing from Farhan, who is a forest conservationist from Indonesia. Then we'll be hearing from another dear friend and colleague, Leila Salazar Lopez. She's the executive director of Amazon Watch from Turtle Island in the USA. Then we'll be hearing from Neema Namadamu, founder and executive director of Hero Women Rising, and our beloved WECAN coordinator from the DR Congo. We've been thrilled to work with Neema for over 10 years now, and just so wonderful to have you here, Neema. And then we'll be hearing from Lídia Guajajara from the Guajajara community. She's an Indigenous climate activist and communicator from the Araribóia Indigenous territory, and also our dear WECAN coordinator in Brazil, where we are very excited to have collectively started a women-led reforestation and forest protection project last year. And it's been such a pleasure to be getting to know Lídia and working with her. We're really honored that you could be here. And so with that, I'm going to be handing the floor over to you, Mary Louise. You have the floor. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Osprey, and it's really good to be on this panel. Thanks so much. It's an honor to be with you, all you women and our sisters all over the world. I'm actually from the Philippines, but I've been living here in Bolivia for many years now. So yes, I am the policy. I know I only have 7 minutes, so I'm gonna go straight to the my presentation. Basically, my main points are definitely well, first I want to explain Global Forest Coalition brings together 134 organizations in 76 countries, and our mission is to promote the uh protection and restoration of forest ecosystems through respect for the rights, territories, and traditional knowledge of indigenous peoples and local communities. And at the heart of that, really bringing in an ecofeminism strategy and recognizing that at the heart of all our work and struggles, the women and girls play such a vital role. So some dire statistics to begin with, sorry, but we will move on from that. Is that forests are really at risk right now, and by along with that, for because without forests, really, there's no climate, there's no life, So biodiversity, climate, everything relies on on not only the survival but the thriving of forests. So we really need to be protecting our forests and struggling for their to stop deforestation, forest degradation, forest fires, and really addressing the roots of deforestation. And on that, it's really depressing because 383 million hectares were burned in recent years, and that's um and in some territories they're larger than entire land areas of countries, if you put all the hectares together. And now we're facing new false solutions that are coming out. One of them is called the tropical forest financing facility, which they've rebranded recently as a Tropical Forest Forever facility, which is really important to talk about because it's being presented as a Southern-led um, initiative because it comes from Brazil, the DRC, and the Congo. Sorry, the DRC and the Congo and Indonesia. So it brings together the three continents, and we've done a very thorough analysis of that new proposal from spearheaded by Brazil. I co-wrote it with Pablo Solon, and it's here. I'll post the link to the report. It's available in English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Bahasa Indonesia. And basically, I think that my main points are, first of all, that the problems with the Tropical Forest Forever facility is that yes, it promises money to that it will go to indigenous peoples and local communities, but that's a smokescreen. And they don't use the word carbon markets, but don't be fooled by that because definitely the money is going to come from private investment, and that always comes with strings attached. And the secretary that's going to be in charge of that money is the World Bank. I mean, who in their right mind is going to trust their money to the to for the World Bank to do good with finances for and to do good with that money and make ensure that it goes to indigenous peoples and local communities and women. So it's definitely not. So just some talking points really quickly because I know that the TFF is a lot to take in. I think that definitely forests. I think at the heart of it is being monetized, So, and as Osprey says, forests are not commodities to be traded. They're not, they have intrinsic value. They, forests are rights holders, and in the rights of nature, we recognize that forests have their own rights, and along with the entire ecosystem that represents, their living ecosystems with intrinsic value crucial to the survival of not only the planet but communities who also live and coexist and have been protecting forests, so already indigenous peoples, local communities have been managing forests with their traditional knowledge across those three continents, the Amazon, the deer, Africa, and in Indonesia. And I think that we in GFC have started a campaign connecting those three continents. And just recently, we already had a campaign meeting in the Amazon, raising awareness and explaining TFF and the dangers that come with it. It sounds very good because it's going to give $125 billion. But what they're not saying in the fine print is that those are going to come from private investments and they will need to get paid back. They're already computing the return of investment of that money. And who's going to pay that back? And so, definitely, number one, it seeks to place a monetary value on the ecosystem services of tropical forest. It's the proposal, the concrete proposal is that it's going to pay $4 per hectare of standing forests annually based on the targeted profitability of $125 billion in loans. Loans. So, okay, so to make that concrete, out of that $4, 80 cents is going to go to the indigenous peoples in theory, but 80 cents, really? I mean, and also, who's who did the valuing that a hectare of forests with ecosystems, with animals, with species, with all these countless valuable living creatures in those forests, that it's $4 per hectare with standing trees? I mean, that's definitely not real. And then I think that yeah, I think that I want to say that we want to make sure that we we explain this and we work towards stopping this, because at the end of the day we don't want private investments to contribute to the forest conservations, but rather we want to have public investment. We want to, if you tax, if you I will give you a concrete number. I know I'm supposed to close soon, but I'll give you a concrete number. If we just tax 1% of all national defense budgets, military budgets, to a fund for forests, that's already going to raise 6 times more than what the TFFF promises. And if you just applied $1 per barrel of oil, it could raise almost 10 times more per year than the TFFF. And so, if we redirect public funds away from military spending, away from fossil fuels, away from extractivism, we can definitely make sure and ensure that money doesn't go to corporations or investors or private contractors, but to the ground, to the front lines of indigenous peoples, local communities, women, and definitely, I think I just want to end with that. We know that as women, we have always faced struggles and challenges in all the many years of our struggles, and we know that when we stand together, we win, we achieve victories. I can list all the many advances that we've done, we've connected, and I think that just to end that we need to be demanding not only for the possibility of change or another way of doing things, but we must demand the impossible, because that is the only way we are going to achieve real change. Demand the impossible because we know we can achieve it if we stand together, especially as women and girls. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary Louise. I couldn't agree more. It's one of the main reasons we're having this assembly is that we have got to stand together. We're at such a critical poly crisis around the world, and we have to demand. I love what you said about the impossible, and outside of what everyone keeps telling us to be politically practical, to be politically correct. No, this is a time to get louder and demand what we really want. And a theme I think that has really been going on throughout this assembly is that women don't want money for war. We want the military funds to go to life. And I think that's something that is really critical to state at this time. So with that, I would like to hand the floor over to Farwiza. Farhan, please take the floor. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Farwiza Farhan, and I work for an organization called Forest, Nature and Environment Aceh Foundation. We focus on this particular landscape sitting in the northern corner of the island of Sumatra in Indonesia, this landscape called the Loise ecosystem. It is the last place on Earth where the critically endangered Sumatran megafauna, the Sumatran tiger, elephant, rhino, and orangutan roaming in the wild. For me personally, the journey to protect forests in the Loisar ecosystem was initially a lonely journey. As when we founded the organization, I was the only female in the team. But in the gut of my gut and the heart of my heart, I sort of instinctively knew it is important that conservation movement that we create become a conservation movement that is inclusive and work with grassroots community, not only as a token partner, but as a true partner for the protection of forests. That opportunity came in 2017 when I met this amazing group of women. These women, they are farmers, they are coffee growers, they are tempe makers, and at that time, we met them through a training for environmental impact assessment. During that training, they convey the intention to protect the forest to us. And it was actually quite a sad story. They were telling us when flash floods happened and swept away their village, not only they lose their homes and livelihoods, but they also lose any sense of security that they had. Life became very unsafe for them, living in some sort of refugee camp, even if it's only temporary. And they never wish for that to happen again, ever in their life. So when we came and met them and provide them with this environmental impact assessment training, they stated that they wanted to protect the forest. And we collaborate with them to give them the legal protection to protect the forests in Loisar in Benua Maria. Not long after, they form a female-led ranger team, and it has been one of the most incredible things because initially, again, all my life, I thought rangers are the title that is associated with men, and people who patrol the forest tend to be looking quite rough and muscular and maybe armed. But these women, they are so gentle, they are so persuasive, and they are so incredible in the way that they stop illegal logging. Because when they meet illegal loggers, instead of escalating, they de-escalate. They approach them with compassion, they approach them with kindness, and this compassion and kindness led to the men changing their mind about destroying the forest. And I find it very, very impressive that once this woman begin patrolling, not only they participate in the forest protection, they also participate in political processes that happen in the village. They used to be the one that is serving food and making coffee for the men in the village meeting, but now they take active part as part of the citizen, as part of active community members. They take part in village meetings and they drive decisions. But more than that, their stories have become inspirations for so many other women in the landscape. When this woman in Benua Maria start to patrol, other women in other part of the Loisar ecosystem begin to see themselves in this woman. They begin to see and understand that they are not powerless, that power is something that belongs to them, that they could take part in the protection of forests as well. And since then, many other women groups begin to organize and they begin to catalyze, supporting one another through economic empowerment as well as empowerment for the protection of forests. But beyond women on the grassroots, they also involve village elites. They also start dialogue with people in the private sectors. They also start dialogue with people that don't necessarily be in touch with conservation stories. These women spread across the landscape of 2.7 million hectares are part of the units that drive decision-making on the ground. And these women are an inspiration to me and to so many. For me, the way they live their life have become a space of groundedness, a space where we all need to come back to. And being with them, learning from them, have taught me that so much of our conservation movement in the past led to a lot of human rights violations, and that needs to change. If we were to think about mitigating climate change, adapting to the changing climate and changing situation, we need to make this movement even more inclusive than it has ever been. And on the final thought, some lesson learned that we pull together from our work in the Loiser ecosystems. Not only women in the grassroots hold knowledge and power, but sometimes institutionalizing it in the form of regulations could be challenging. And without the intentional long-term investment and engagement, community on women empowerment could also lead to conflict because the balance of power in the village would shift. And you need to be there to constantly support them, support one another. I had a funny story. It was like when a journalist from National Geographic coming to write a story about the group of women that protect the forest, they stayed there for a whole month and they learned a lot about the women rangers and their livelihoods. Soon after the story was published and the face of the women rangers graced the cover of the magazine, the man started nudging the journalist and asking, when would the story be about me? And sometimes this small thing is the reality that a lot of women on the grassroots are facing. And this is not a reality that we can ignore. Sometimes this work could create conflict because it disrupts existing systems in the village. But at the same time, disruption could be a good thing because challenging power relation show the community of what's possible. And I truly believe that if there's any group that's constantly challenging power, it's this group led by WECAN. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that great presentation, and really good to see the on-the-ground work. And I will say from the work that we've done at WECAN on the ground with women-led forest protection, reforestation, that the disruptions have been uncomfortable with women's leadership, but very powerful and very effective. And I think it's a good disruption led by the women on the ground. And I would just want to encourage that I think that this is good as we work to dismantle patriarchal institutions, that we empower our sisters on the ground to have power and agency in their communities. And with that, I'm really honored to bring onto the floor Leila Souza Lopez.
Good morning, good afternoon, wonderful women from around the world. It is truly an honor to be here with you all. And I don't know about you all, but need a little bit of hope and inspiration during these really, really hard and dark times. So being with you all is bringing that forward. I'm Chicana. I'm here in California on Ohlone territory in the San Francisco Bay Area. And my heart is heavy looking at the news of what is happening to our people here in California and across this country. And it is not a surprise. It is not something different that has been happening to our partners across the Amazon. It's very similar, and it seems to be the playbook for authoritarianism and fascism. So that's why we're here. We're here to stand together, to resist these attacks on our communities, and to stand together. And as Osprey mentioned, I am the executive director of Amazon Watch. And for those of you who don't know Amazon Watch, we work to protect and defend the Amazon rainforest and our global climate in solidarity with Indigenous peoples all across the Amazon basin. And we do that through advocacy. We do that through accompaniment. We do that through communications campaigns, through direct solidarity, through direct funding and financing through our Amazon Defenders Fund. And our strategies are really around, first and foremost, amplifying and advancing and supporting Indigenous-led efforts to defend rights, to defend territories, because we know that the best way to protect the Amazon rainforest, the best way to protect forests is by supporting Indigenous land rights. And those are the primary demands of our Indigenous partners across the Amazon and around the world, as you all are hearing on various different panels throughout this week. We work to stop Amazon destruction. We work to amplify Indigenous-led solutions and to advance climate justice. And no government is going to tell us or threaten us to stop demanding and advancing climate justice. This is the time. We see it in front of us, not 20 years from now, not 30 years from now. We are in it. We are in the midst of many crises. And in the Amazon rainforest, the Amazon is at a tipping point. A tipping point of ecological collapse if we do not turn things around. Scientists and Indigenous elders and leaders have warned us of over 25% or between 20 and 25% deforestation and degradation and what that would cause. It would cause a tipping point. And so we are working to stop any further destruction of the Amazon and any further destruction of and land grabbing of Indigenous lands, that we know those are the lands that are the best protected and contain the most biodiversity and protect the most forests. And what are the major causes of the threats to the forests and to the peoples right now as we speak? I would love for you to start throwing in on the chat, what do you think the major causes of Amazon destruction are right now? Fossil fuel extraction. So we're working to end Amazon crude. And just last week, we released this report. Can you see it? There we go.
Go forward. Put it forward. No.
We'll put it in the chat. Drilling Towards Disaster. It's a report on Amazon crude and the ties to California, because the majority of the crude from the Amazon, including from Yasuni National Park, the most biodiverse tropical rainforest on this planet, comes to California. So we brought a delegation of our partners last week here to California to lobby the state Senate, the state assembly, and we're working towards a resolution to investigate the ties between Amazon crude and California. And we'll be working on a path onto the path of COP30 in Brazil. So we're working to end Amazon crude. We're working to get mining out of the Amazon, to defend earth defenders, to defend Indigenous rights and territories, and to stop organized crime. Organized crime, we're talking land grabbing, we're talking illegal mining, illegal logging, narco trafficking. This is the biggest growing threat to the Amazon as we speak. But last year, some people are mentioning it. What do you think was the biggest cause of Amazon destruction and actually forest destruction around the world? And it wasn't agribusiness. It was fires. So, as I mentioned before, we're not talking about 20 years from now, what are we going to see? Are we going to see the impacts of the climate crisis? We are seeing them now. And we've been seeing since 2019 explosive fires across the Amazon and surrounding ecosystems. They're not wildfires. They're not accidents. They are intentionally set to burn forest, to land grab for agribusiness. And just last month, there was a global forest report that said that fires are actually now the leading cause of destruction and degradation of forests. So this is very troublesome, but it's not something that that we can't stop. Indigenous peoples from Los Angeles to the Amazon have prevented fires throughout history. And so what we need to do is stand with our Indigenous allies once again to prevent further harm, to prevent the fires from happening. And we need to pressure the governments to listen to the demands of Indigenous peoples, to women, and to all of us who are standing together to demand climate justice. I'll put a little bit more quotes in, links in the chat since my time is up. But thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Leila, for all of your incredible work for years and dedication to the Amazon and Indigenous peoples of the Amazon. And definitely, we want to have the link in the chat to your report. It's really important. And the delegation that is here is so important. Thank you so much. And before we bring on Neema Namadamu, we're going to show a little video of the work that is happening in the DR Congo and then give her the floor. So let's go ahead and cue up that video, and then we'll hand the floor to Neema. Thank you.
When I come back here after 25 years, I was shocked. When I was a little girl, the forest was here. And when I was here, I see no more trees. Idea was how again people can bring life back.
As the climate crisis increases, scientists are telling us that one of the most important things that we can do is to protect forests and biodiversity. The Congo Basin is one of the largest and most important forests of the world, only second to the Amazon in terms of size. And there we are reforesting damaged lands that due to extractive industries, agricultural business, have been completely turned into deserts.
We have now 500 women. They are planting those trees. And when you're planting trees, you are owner of those trees and you are owner on the land. That is not usual on our culture, women to have some propriety, some ownership. That gives us really confidence.
Ibi byose nijoro biteye kandi nije uzubibagarira iri ni ishyamba ryanje.
75% of the trees are going to rewilding the forest. Some of them now are 20 feet tall, and we're quickly seeing the forest begin to regenerate. And 25% are for human use, so that we can ensure that we're protecting the 1.6 million acres of old-growth forest. This is where their food comes from, where their medicines come from, where the things they need for their homes come from, their pharmacy.
Ibiti akamaro ko kubitera icyo bimarira n'icyo mbitegeyemo cyane ni ukugira ngo tuzongere tubone imvura muri iki gihugu cyacu ibiti byarashize. Turifuza yuko ibino biti za WECAN zokomeza tukongera tukagarura amashamba.
Women, they are now protecting environment with trees. Women of Itombe forest, natural forest from DRC, we are trying to protect our environment.
We're now protecting 1.6 million acres of old-growth forest over the years as we reforest in the Congo Basin.
Kuko byamariye njewe ku giti cyanje bimpesha ihewa nziza muri iki gihugu cyacu.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a real need to develop more food sovereignty and food security. So now not only in the nurseries that we have are we planting sapling trees, but also lots of food for the local communities.
Vegetables we did really help so much. People to have vegetables to fight with malnutrition.
And the women are just so proud to not only be planting trees and healing their damaged homelands, but also protecting this old-growth forest for all of us, for doing their part in mitigating the climate crisis. So for all of these things, it's a very comprehensive project that's lifting up women, lifting up Indigenous peoples and their traditional ways of life, protecting old growth forest and reforesting damaged lands.
All these forests will become soon big one, and we want to really to have again bring new oxygen. Wind will be stopping winds, and it's really very, very, very important. Trees, they are life.
And with that, we are so honored to give the floor to Neema. Neema, good to see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. It's really some kind of so hard to speak after these amazing women, Mary and Lera and other. It's really amazing. Thank you for the good work you are doing. My name, like Osprey said, my name is Neema Namadamu. I'm from DRC, Congo. And some kind of people who doesn't know well Congo. Congo is second rainforest after Amazon forest. You see how, and the Congo is on the middle of Africa. That middle of Africa, and we have 6% of whole forest on Africa, 6%. Only 6% is in Congo. That is huge. And when you have some kind of forest, like you say, tropical forest, and you fight more, I think Mary and the other people and the indigenous people and the community, they know how crime it is to have this big forest. And really, let me talk about what we did. And I was telling, my name is Neema Namadamu. I'm a founder and executive of HeroWomenRising.org. If you want to know more about my work, please go visit HeroWomenRising.org. And also, I'm director of WECAN Congo. That we talk, I work with Congo. We are partner with WECAN US or globally for now 10 years. You can imagine how we band together, women together. It become amazing, it become really something happening. And from that 10 years now, we're already planting over almost 1.5 million trees. With that 1.5 million trees, with directly beneficiary women, 60,600 women planting, directly benefited to planting those trees. And also we have 50,000 people indirectly who benefit from that planting trees, to have this benefit, to have a kind of really, when we don't have a forest is life. Because in Congo, we don't have air conditioner, we don't have this kind of electricity. No, we do fire night. That we live naturally. It's like we still in, like we live, I don't know, indigenous I've never been in Amazon forest. I don't know how they live. If they have all benefit from a forest, to have, for example, electricity, to have education, from a benefit from that. Like Mary she say about World Bank is managing money. These people with government, they are high level, they're giant. They are fighting how to get money. But though the money is only on a high level, between those giants with government or ever money manager who managing money in the World Bank, and when they see women organization, they can say you don't have the capacity to manage money from a World Bank. That is how they told the women always. But we have a chance. We have this coalition with WECAN, with other women who work from on the front line. We fight. I think we are talking about how we can fight until when we win. And I'm sure we will win, because we can't stop it, because that is life. sometimes it can tell you stop to breathe. That is where we see something is wrong. Because when we're really fighting for climate change, for climate justice, for example, Itombwe Forest, I born there, I grown up there. But when I back to my village, you see, was no trees because all trees was gone. And this is causing by mining. That's fraud. The mining companies, they come, they cut trees, they are looking minerals. And let me tell you a little bit about DRC. From during after Second World War, because the Congo was so rich on a material for making tire for car. And that time, they killed whole half population in the DRC. But not no one person, UN or this or international organization, no one who talk about that. And now we have another big challenging right now. We have those minerals who are making airplane, making machine, phones, guns, all those things we have now in Congo. Is second crime because those material they are looking for. And now is why they are cutting those natural forests, tropical forests, looking at those minerals. And we have really, I'm going to finish this to call about this international community, this climate change, like a COP. Please do considering human being. Don't considering only minerals. It's human being. We are community. We live on that land, and really they try to maybe to do like sometimes a cleansing clan, to kill people like genocide. They are violent our motherland and also population who live that land. That is where we are fighting now for many decades. We are fighting with these people because those government bring those different rebels to exploiting those minerals. And really we are demanding if this decision maker can stop those rebels movement especially through Africa and especially in Congo. We have different group of rebels from outside countries. And this is killing us. It's violent land and violent women, violent everything, our water. And when they do minerals, they're poisoning water. And when the people and the animal, like a cow or dog, drink that water, they died. Because in no way is they doing like they don't think human being existed there. I don't know if in my time, I still have a little minute.
Yes, just take a minute and then we'll come back around to you in the discussion as well. But
yes. That is really I wanting to this globally know in those forests is the people, the owner. That forest is our identity. And you can't separating people who lives in those community on those forests, indigenous people, people who lives around for hundreds and hundred years, and today to move there because you are going to exploiting minerals. Really, thank you so much for healing us and giving me this platform to give the voice for those voiceless, for those thousands and thousands women and kids and the communities who are suffering because these such minerals and the trees. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neema. Really appreciate all the hard work you're doing and representing your community and many communities. And I just wanted to say before we hand the floor over to Lídia that, throughout this assembly, we've been discussing the fact of when we're talking about this transition off of fossil fuels, and also with all the new technology, all of those factors, the last thing we want to do is replicate the same extractive, exploitive economy that we're in, where we see this massive push for mineral extraction in the name of progress, when in fact we need to be more on a degrowth or beyond growth pattern. and a very different set of principles and economy and societal structures. So it's really important for all of us to hear from the front lines how this is impacting community and killing people, literally killing communities over these minerals that are mostly supplying wealthy countries. Okay, with that, let's go to Lídia Guajajara. So happy to have you here, Lídia. You have the floor.
Hi, people. Hi, women, everyone that is joining us. First of all, I would like, I said good afternoon in my language. I am Lídia. I'm Indigenous in the Araribóia land in southern Maranhão. I am here as coordinator of the project of WECAN in Brazil, a project that was presented for reforestation in our territory, specifically in the region that we are part of, which is the Muritiba region, and it encompasses 5 regions in the territory with an extension of 413,000 hectares. And first of all, I would like to make this presentation to start my talk, bringing something about this project that is being developed in the heart of the Amazon, that is the recovery or the environmental recovery of areas that are already degraded in our territory, the Guajajara territory. And in this project is developed and led by 20 women, Guajajara women, young women, and I would have loved to bring a presentation for you to meet the women, to know them that are leading this project, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't bring that material right now for you, and now we can, but we can do this in another moment because the project is very important and it was very effective. In a short time, the women already planted more than 20 seedlings, and from acai, that it is a very well-known fruit, the acai. Many people know the acai and its origin. We have led in these planting activities in a much larger number that it was established at the beginning, because it is healthy, it is typical from the area, this fruit, and people is looking for it. Beyond the reforestation, but also thinking in a largest production, and the seeds used, working with several species, with several seedlings, collecting seeds. And initially, as I said, the territory is quite large, and this project initially it was started as an opportunity because in 2015 our territory suffered a huge forest burning, a criminal forest burn, affecting directly our way of life, our food security, and especially our rituals, because without culture, without territory, it is very important. So this project, it goes beyond planting trees. It empower women, empower young ladies, and it's part of the political activity. And women are quite engaged in the project, in the village, and participating also in other events in the village. It strengthened the presence of those women, not only in the project, but also outside the project. The women are engaged, and our mission is really that, to think about the impacts of the environmental protection. And this protection starts with reforestation, with territorial protection, with our culture protection, because we cannot think on keeping a culture alive if you don't keep the women in their position of defenders of making this change. And naturally, indigenous women indigenous peoples. We develop a reforestation work. Initially, when we got to know this project, when we had this opportunity to reach Osprey, I think that everything is connected, and it was an opportunity for us to show what we want, because there were a lot of people coming and leaving our place, but we never had a feedback or a return from the project. So this project is very important for us. In short time, as I said at the beginning, those women are engaged, and this involves also the production of handicrafts. So with the seeds, with everything we take in the forest, and that's why this project is very important. Sometimes we think it has no sense to talk about the project or the initiatives, but they are very important for us. And opportunities like this, I am very happy to be part of this project, and with all the women, that for us it makes a difference. And for a long time we naturally protected the forest, but with this support we have a larger mission, because we are not doing this only because of the protection, because we think with the about the territory with a larger wish that will contribute also in a general way in the sustainability. And we are producing a lot of fruits, and it is fundamental for the protection of our territories against all kinds of threats as illegal logging. Our territories is not suffering from mining, but because we don't allow it in our territories. But this is a large area, as I said, and this restoration process started after this criminal forest burn, because there were people that think that burning the forest, they will be affecting us, and this impacted also our lives. Some defenders are still threatened because of the defense of the forest. So we women, we are organizing, we are pointing out and denunciating these invasions. We are participating in assemblies. We are being trained. We are also working in communications. And this was fundamental for us to show this as a tool, to denounce also, to show our work too. I think that some of these results that I'm bringing to you, they have a lot to show, and the women that are joining us from our territories in Araribóia, I would like to thank a lot to Osprey, to WECAN, to all the involved in this project. We are here also available to contribute, to be part of other events, other assemblies. I think that spaces like these allow us to reach our partners, our supporters, because this is the defense that we need. For all women, to assure the life of future generations. I don't know how more time I have, but I thank you a lot for this time, for this moment, for this opportunity to talk to you. And my message is that from all the women that are part of this project, we thank you a lot.
Thank you so much, Lídia, and thank you for your beautiful leadership with all the women in the forest. And they're just doing incredible work reforesting, but also doing forest protection and doing a lot of work legally and through resistance efforts, as well as planting trees. So thank you for your leadership. And just to pick up on a few points, one of the things that we'll also be doing in this assembly over the next days is we'll be having a special session on the Escazú Agreement, which I won't get into here, but it's important in relationship to this discussion, which is a bilateral agreement in the Latin American Caribbean region to protect land defenders. And it's very specific, and we'll be having a session on it because it's so important to also this conversation around stopping deforestation, stopping mining, and the land protectors doing that work, and how do they protect themselves when attacks are made. So that's coming up. So I want to loop back around and give all of the incredible leaders, the panelists here today, a moment to do some closing remarks, and we'll just start at the top and hear from all of you. And I wanted to weave together that, this as we wanted it, and it's just been an incredible panel. Thank you all so much to weave together everything from the, political landscape that we're in, the rise of authoritarian governments and the connection to the extraction that goes with that, the economy that we're facing, the fact of the policies as Mary Louise brought forward on the TFFF, which is very complex to people who are not engaged in these issues, but it's so critical to understand how we are constantly getting these greenwashed plans. They kind of regurgitate them and put a different title on them and make pledges about them, and then it continues to be laden with the commercialization, the financialization, the commodification of nature, which we don't want. Just putting, to put it simply, putting our forests and our land and our rights into the marketplace, which we don't want. So, we've touched upon the political aspect, the policy aspect, the on the ground actual work of protecting forests and regenerating our forests. And I love the richness of the discussion. And I now want to hand the floor back over to Mary Louise for your closing comment. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Okay, sorry. Okay. Yes, thank you so much, and thank you so much to all the amazing presentations by Leila, Neema, Lídia, and Faria, and I think that that everything was really inspiring. And I think that definitely, I think that number one, I just want to close with, we want to recognize forests as rights holders. We want to emphasize that forests have rights, and we need to be thinking about the rights of nature, that we need to be thinking that forests are not commodities, and we need to be thinking about really addressing the root causes of deforestation, which includes forest fires, because who are causing forest fires? And it's definitely really going to the root, which Leila talked about, the extractivism, and the extractivism that comes from fossil fuels, um and all these other kinds of destructive way mining. So I think we want to fight for forests that are free from extractivism, but also free from femicide, free from violence against women. We want forests and territories free from ecocide, and we want to support that definitely territories are free of all these false solutions, and also the destruction and attacks from corporations and extractivists. And I think that definitely also we want to push for real solutions, and pushing for real solutions means that we all a lot of the examples that were shown today, really, I think that's really something that we absolutely support. And really the heart of it is women and girls. I think it's really fantastic examples. I just want to close with the TFFF has been gaining a lot of high profile support, especially from the north, saying that we need to support this because it comes from the south. I think that that's false, because the original idea for this financing mechanism came from the north many years ago, and it's only been repackaged now by Brazil, and as a proposal that comes supposedly from Brazil. But if you dig a little deeper, this proposal came from the North, from analysts in the United States who wrote about this, how they could make money with this financing mechanism. And there are a lot of strings attached with this financialization of nature and financialization of forest. These are loans. These are in private investments. They don't care about the indigenous peoples. They care about the return of investment, which means that this money needs to be repaid after 10 years. And also that it can be liquidated at any moment. The fund can be liquidated at any moment if exceptional financial situations arise. And also that they don't mention carbon markets, but this is definitely a financialization of nature, and it complements other market mechanisms. And it definitely is a greenwashing. The mechanism would not generate carbon credits, but it would allow investors who purchase TFFF credits to greenwash. And who trusts the World Bank? Definitely, I think that's it. And to go back again to demanding for public financing, because our public money, our taxes all over the world, they're going to fossil fuels. And they're going to military spending. They're going to extract to supporting corporations. The, if we demand our governments to change the way we structure and think about funding mechanisms, we reject the funding mechanism from private investors and loans and these corporations, and we demand that public funding and reallocating public finances to the directly, not to the companies, not to any other entities, not to third parties, not even to the government, but definitely directly to the communities, directly to the indigenous peoples, directly to the local communities, directly to the women and girls who are at the front lines, implementing real solutions right now, implementing alternatives, protecting the forests, and conserving it. And really, I think that we need to understand that a lot of indigenous people knowledge, traditional knowledge, is already available and has been working for so long, and they have been thriving. And we must really, I think, respect that and uplift those voices, uplift those examples. And definitely, I think that we need to be careful, because there is already a lot of high profile support of TFF, because supposedly it's from the south. I'm from the south and I don't support it, and we are from and a lot of us are from the south. We had a fantastic meeting in the Amazon, and we're going to have a meeting in Indonesia, and we're planning also in Africa. And we welcome everybody who's working on these issues to come and join the campaign. It's new. It's a new campaign, and I'm gonna end here that you can contact us directly. The campaign is open. We welcome all of you to join us in this campaign, which is an internationalism of the struggle against false solutions. And we are directly connecting the Amazon, the DRC, and Africa, and Indonesia and Asia, and really interconnecting that and internationalism of the struggle of forests. And again, at the heart of that, are women, and the survival of tropical forests is not a negotiation among states. It is a matter of justice and survival for millions of people and species and forests. And we must demand that our governments take bold actions that reflects that urgent need. So thank you very much.
Thank
It's
you. Thank
been
you.
an honor.
Thank you so
Wow.
much, Mary Liz. So agree with everything you're saying, Mary Louise. Thank you very, very much. And a very powerful campaign. And we've put that into the chat, and really, really important work, especially as we get ready for COP30. So I would like to hand the floor over to Leila for your closing comments. Thank you, Leila.
Thank you, Osprey, and thank you, everyone. I feel like Mary said it all. You said a lot, shared a lot. I agree with a lot of what you have just said, and I think that, what it really came up for me as you were speaking is, is direct funding for the front lines, direct funding for women defenders, defenders of the Amazon, defenders of biodiversity, defenders of climate justice. And we see a lot of funders pulling back actually right now. We see funders, pulling back at a time when we need to really be diving in to support the front lines, Indigenous women. And that's why we're all here, because we support women's leadership, Indigenous women's leadership from the government level. We do have allies in government, and we will be supporting our allies in government at the very high levels leading up to COP30 and beyond. And we will also be supporting the front lines. And our partners across the Amazon actually came together just a few weeks ago, not just the Amazon, but across all of the biomes of Brazil at a pre-COP. And they put together their declaration and demands for governments. And, I just want to say one thing, that while, our partners are putting up their declarations, we are here to support and uplift those declarations and those demands. And that's what Amazon Watch is committed to do. And also, it is our job also, while we uplift and we want to support, the Brazilian government, for example, for hosting all of us at COP30. COP30 is not the end goal. It is a pathway. It is a major, major opportunity for us to demand what is truly needed for not only the Amazon, but for our global climate, for human rights. We're not going to see that leadership from the US government. So we are counting on leadership from the South, and we are counting on the movements. So let's support the movements, let's support the grassroots. At Amazon Watch, we're really going to be focusing on supporting our partners who are denouncing the expansion of soy production, of the soy railway, the Federal Railway, this massive infrastructure development project going through indigenous lands in Pará, in the state where the COP will be hosted. So we will be standing with our partners in a caravan from Mato Grosso all the way to Belém. And then we will also be uplifting and denouncing the continued extraction and continued proposals for extraction of fossil fuels, which we saw just happened last week. 14 oil blocks auctioned off in Brazil. So just follow us at Amazon Watch, and we will keep you up to date, and we will continue to partner with WECAN and all of our partners here. Thank you all.
Thank you, Leila. Thank you so much for your incredible work. And it's always such an honor to partner with Amazon Watch and with Leila for many years. And we so honor the work that you're doing, and we will be together on this pathway. And with that, I would love to hand the floor to Neema and then Lídia. We have about, like 3 minutes each because we're closing out, but we'd love to hear your closing comments, Neema and Lídia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Osprey, and thank you for, I think, Mary, she said something about the financial. And you guys, the Western countries, is them who devising Africa. They're coming to exploring, and they ignore human being, ignore our trees, ignore our water. And my last comment is this: please give human being, humanity, respect. We are human being, and let Africa be green, because Africa is a mother continent and is always green. Please, you can stop that. And they are fighting for that money. That, like I said, World Bank, how may grassroots organization, women who lives in the forest, to have access to that money? This is a miracle. When people talking about the financial, when people talking about how to get compensation, how to really to help those women who are in the front line, is crazy, and not crazy, is maybe amazing to can see how we can be supporting. Only we can. We have from 10 years, we've been working on the front line with women planting now 500,000 trees without any support, without any gloves or something, but with women together. I think you guys, women who are from West countries, who have big education, who knows how to manage the money, please, let's be together and we can have a global solution, because this climate change is global issues and we must together have a solution. Thank you so much for giving us this time. And I see many people giving me good chat on chatting. Please, you see my email. Send me email. We will be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Neema. And exactly, one of these, the project we're doing with Neema and Lídia is designed to be directly to the women on the ground. And we're trying to demonstrate a completely different way than what governments and financial institutions are offering. And so it's a very different model. And thank you, Neema, for sharing that. And we'll give the final word to you, Lídia.
Hi, I would like only to thank. I can't hear what Lydia is saying. Okay, I want to thank that as Indigenous leadership, and all the violence that we are suffering, and now we are planning, and I would love to thank you for us to be part of this project. And we can more and more have the possibility of strengthening our work. This has a huge impact on our lives. So I want to thank Osprey and thank you all. Thank you very much to everyone. And women, we are developing other roles in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lídia. Clearly on the move. And again, I just want to close out this panel by thanking all of the speakers. It's such an honor to have you here with us. I send my love to you, and we will continue. We'll continue the struggle. And thank you again for joining us. And we're going to transition to our next panel. Thank you.